I've always felt like the cross was about God saying, I'd rather die than be in the sin accounting business anymore. And it's like from the cross we see that Jesus won't even lift a finger to condemn, much less do violence to his own crucifiers. It's incredible. I mean, that sort of chosen powerlessness I find baffling and unbelievably redemptive. To say, like, you know, there's a song growing up, he could have called 10,000 angels, you know, to have all the power at the universe at the tips of your fingers, and to be entirely justified in using it, and to choose not to. It's amazing to me. I mean, there's a way in which, like, I was taught this weird sort of substitutionary atonement, you know, God is divine child abuser, or God is like pissed off cigar chomping loan shark demanding his pound of flesh. Someone's got to pay. It might as well be Jesus. It's just jacked up images of God. Also, technically, heresy. That is not a Trinitarian view of God. That is not a Trinitarian view of God. That's not God's little boy. It's like God had a little boy and he loved that little boy so much. He loved that, and he only had one. I don't know, fertility issues. I have no idea, but God just had one little boy and he loved that boy so much. And you know what? He had to kill that little boy because you stole a candy bar, right? It's just like, and now you have to be grateful for your whole life that God killed his little boy because you stole a candy bar, that you have to spend your whole life making sure you never do anything like that again, just out of gratitude, right? But that's not, in a Trinitarian sort of orthodox view of this, that's not God's little boy on the cross. That's God. That's actually God. That's the second person of the Trinity. That's God taking in all of humanity's broken ass stuff, all of our sin, our brokenness, our need for vengeance, the fact that we want to use power against other people, the fact that, you know, we want to be the empire now, all of that, like all that violence and affliction and sin of humanity, and somehow took that into God's own broken human body, and then gave us just forgiveness. Like when Jesus says, "Forgive them, Father, they know not what they're doing," that is an eternally valid statement. So,
what do you mean?
I mean, that is still true today, right? Like, God took all of that sin upon God's own broken body, and then in response gave us nothing but forgiveness and blessedness and resurrection. And something was accomplished. To me, something was accomplished there that is for all people and all things and all of creation. I think it's God's nature to redeem us and all of creation continually. And God's working that out. Even if we don't see it all the time, that's God's work and God's nature.
It's good news.
That feels like good news to me. And I see it. I mean, I still see it. And the thing is that being people who have received that kind of grace and forgiveness, sometimes we get to be ones who are agents of that in the world. The world's just a mess, right? Sometimes being people who have been forgiven and have received this grace and mercy, we get to bring that into the world. Now, not in this like we're the holy agents of all things good. It's
or we're
almost
going to forgive ISIS or anything.
Right.
Come on, silly goose.
But it's almost accidental. You know, it's like it creates these openings in us from which that stuff flows despite us. I've seen it over and over. I mean, so you say, what do Christians do in the world? We accidentally, despite ourselves, get to be agents of forgiveness and mercy and grace because we've been cracked open, and then that just stuff flows out. It's just God's stuff, it flows out. It's not because of a plan we have or a discipleship group or whatever. It's just we're these sort of broken and healed people from which that stuff comes out.
What is God's stuff?
All of it. I mean, all of that love and mercy and free. It's so destabilizing and it's so against human nature. That's the thing that's so redemptive about it. It's like the antidote to who we are naturally that we need.